We interrupt our program to bring you a special broadcast.
Boom! Headshot!
Hey, it's Clay. Welcome to another League of Legends video. This time I want to do a why buy on Garen, the Might of Demacian. He is one of the more introductory basic level champions in the game, one of the ones that you start off in the tutorial, and he's pretty strong. Just a little bit of a quick tip here before I get into Garen. If you're playing top lane, and if you're on the purple side, running into this bush right away is really a good idea, and it can often win you the lane. And I'm dead serious about this, because if you look at what their team is doing, they're doing a very typical jungler start for almost any jungler is going to start wolves, then they're going to go to blue. Then there's the top laner can either run up to lane this direction up on the left, bypass their tower, which is safer but takes longer, or they can just run right up through the river, place their ward, and they'll be in lane. And if you wait here in this little brush, there's almost zero chance that they'll be there, and there's almost 100% chance that you can get the jump on them, you can level up your first skill, and you can get some free damage off. And if you get a red pot, you can even sometimes all in them and get the kill. So if we check this out, looks like Wukong is in fact going to be coming through. So check this out, he's coming through. I see him, I leveled up my Q, going to get an auto attack, going to throw down my Q, get another auto attack. So 3 free hits onto Wukong, and this lane is almost already won, because I started Cloth 5, which is an excellent start against Wukong. He also started Cloth 5. And he's going to be in trouble. Actually, I think he started with a ward. So, cloth ward and then a couple of pots. So he's definitely going to be in trouble getting another Q off there. Just all this free damage. So just a little quick tip for you guys who like to play top lane. I actually picked it up from watching Voyboy stream. Something he does quite frequently when he starts on the purple side. So just a quick little tip right there to help you win the lane right away. Just getting some free Q harass. But Garen, let's get into him. He is a top lane, bruiser, melee, he can really fulfill a couple of different roles. He can be a DPSer, he can go tank. You can see I'm getting some really nice damage, going to flash in and get the first blood there onto Wukong. So that introductory damage there when he was walking through lane pretty much got me that first blood kill with some multiple Q harass. But anyways, Garen, top laner, and he is a very, very strong lane bully. Let's talk about his skills and his abilities and figure out why. His passive, this gives him great sustain. Basically, he regenerates 4% of his maximum health every second when he's out of combat. So, this is something that's really nice. If you get harassed, you don't necessarily need to suck down a whole bunch of pots to get yourself back into the lane. You can sometimes just kind of sit back for a couple of minutes, maybe 30 seconds or so, let your passive set in, and then soak up that experience. You don't necessarily have to get all the CS, put yourself in danger, but you can soak up the experience and you can heal yourself with your passive. It's really not a bad choice. It has been nerfed recently. It used to be 5% instead of 4%, which actually does make a actually 0.4%, not 5 or 4%, 0.5 or 0.4%. But it used to be a little bit higher, so a little bit of a nerf to that passive, but it still is really nice to give you that bit of sustain in lane. Especially when you're playing top lane, I feel like sustain is absolutely huge, so you don't have to be going back and buying pots and stuff like that. Another quick tip related to, sorry, I'm going to just go a little bit out of order here, but another quick tip if you're playing top lane is to itemize early against your opponent defensively. So I started Cloth 5 and I picked up a chain vest. So right there I'm investing into 55 armor. I'm already at 117 armor. Wukong, who's doing pretty much entirely physical damage, is going to have almost no way to hurt me. Like I'm probably going to build this into something like a Sunfire Cape, something like that. So it's a good item for Garen, and you just rush the armor if you're going against an AD opponent. If you're against an AP opponent like a Rumble or an Elise, you maybe want to go with something like a Hex Drinker, something like that would be a good choice. Even just getting like investing into a Spirit Visage, or not, I don't actually even know what the items are called, but those more inexpensive items that just gives you magic resist. Itemizing early to help you, mitigate damage from your opponent is a fantastic choice in top lane. But anyways, let's get back to his skills. His Q, Decisive Strike. I've been using this extremely lot so far, extremely high amount of times in this lane so far. The first couple of trades there I had against Wukong, I used my Decisive Strike. I leveled this up first. Basically, it does a couple things for you. First of all, it actually clears you of any slows. You can see I used it right there. It's that little flip. It frees him from any slows, which is actually really, really nice. So if you're laning against someone like a Nasus and he uses Wither, using my Q right there to charge at Wukong to possibly get some damage and then ending up using it on that minion. So if you're laning against someone like Nasus, who has a slow, you can use your Q to immediately break free from that slow. Very, very strong ability. If you're playing against someone like Ashe, this works really well. Anybody who makes use of a lot of slows, using my Q right there again. And then he will actually gain movement speed, so this is a fantastic way to give yourself a little bit of a movement boost. I use this when I'm running back to lane a lot. I use it anytime I want to gap close. This is his primary way of gap closing, using it right there to do a little bit of extra damage. It's just, overall, it's a very, very good ability. I did get 1 point in this early, and I like to max it second. I find that, you know, his E is his primary damage tool, but his Q is really nice. It's good for damage, but it's good for initiation, but it's also good for the utility that it brings. So overall, a very good ability. And then his W is his Courage. This is a shield. I'm actually having it on. I don't think I have it on right now, but I should, because it's. Oh, actually, I did put it on during that little engagement right there, and I'm gonna get away just fine. But it has a passive active component. He gains additional 20% from armor and magic resist. So if you build armor or magic resist, you actually gain a bonus from this. So overall, really, really nice if you're building items like a Sunflower Cape or a Spirit Visage or any of those type of items. Going a little bit crazy here. Probably shouldn't be going so ham, but I'm level 6. Getting really low. Gonna use my Q to get away safely. Okay. So down to about 100 health there. Very, very low. But anyways, his W is his shield. I like to take 1 point in this, maybe at level 2 or 3, and then max it last. It's a good shield. If you more points you put into it, the longer that it will stay on you, which is nice. But I would say overall, his other abilities are just a little bit more potent. So I find that putting points to them more frequently early is more beneficial. But you know, if you're going for more of a defensive lane, I would say putting points into his shield and maybe maxing it second would not be a bad choice, just because it is a very strong shield when you activate it. You know, it has the CC reduction, so it gives you a ton of... you can see going in for a little bit of a gank here, and going to flash in, and Trundle's actually going to pick up the kill there, although I thought I could have. Going to go ahead and hit my Q, and then, oh, am I going to use my ultimate? Going to use my E? Nope, going to back away. Not quite brave enough. Getting down to really low, about 67 health there again. Very, very low. But anyways, that's his W. It's a shield. Very nice defensive ability. Lastly, his E, Judgment. This is his primary skill that everyone knows. Probably one of the most symbolic skills in all League of Legends. Basically, he will spin for 3 seconds, dealing continuous damage to anyone close to him. I was using it there in that last engagement. Use it all the time. It's a great farming tool. It also, one of the biggest benefits of it is that it can critically strike. So building crit strength items on like an Infinity Edge is a very, very good choice on Garen. You can see I was using my Q there to run back to lane. But overall, his E is his primary damage tool. I would take a point in it, maybe at level 2 or 3, and then max it immediately. It is a very, very strong ability. It definitely gives him a lot of damage. And his basic combo is landing a Q. You can see using my E right there to clear out this minion wave and shove it into the tower, so Wukong cannot last hit very well. But his basic damage combo will be something like, you know, landing a Q to silence your enemy so they can't really get away, and then using your E to just do a ton of damage to them and get them really, really low, and then you just kind of run away because you're Garen. And you just did all this damage. I saw Jax here in this ward, and I'm just like, hey, buddy, I'm going to go ahead and dive onto you. I'm not scared in the least, because I'm Garen, and I have a big lead, and I have a ton of armor. Use my Q to jump in here again. Am I going to dive this guy? Nope, not quite, not that brave. But going to use my E here, my Judgment, to go ahead and clear out all these minions. But I'm just 2v1ing these guys, no big deal. I built a ton of armor, I picked up a Giant's Belt, so going for a very strong defensive build early. And that works very well with Garen because, you know, with his E, he does have pretty high damage. And his Q as well, good initiation. You sure you want to do this here, Wukong? Because I am just about ready to dive you under this tower. Even though Jax is here, I'm not scared. But his E, primary ability, you can see I'm maxing it immediately, and it's great for a lot of damage. Lastly, his ultimate, Demacian Strike. This is a very, very good finishing move. Basically, it does base damage, but then it does additional damage based on missing health. So the more health your enemy is missing, the more damage you can see. Using my Q right there, and I'm not going to go in yet either. Just biding my time, waiting for this dive. It's going to happen at some point. You know it's going to happen. But anyways, his ultimate, it's a fantastic finishing move, and it is it's kind of like, if you think about Darius, his ultimate, it's kind of like that, except it doesn't deal true damage. But overall, it's just very, very strong. You can see, actually, I believe this is the dive right here. I'm waiting for all my cooldowns. Going to go ahead and pop my Q. Nope, not quite yet. God, you know I'm going to dive this guy at some point. You just know it. But anyways, his ultimate, it's pretty straightforward. You have to get in close. They're going to pop my shield, going to pop my Q, and not do anything. God, I really want to dive this guy. Why am I not diving him? But anyways, I will try to point it out when it comes, because it's a great finishing tool. It almost can guarantee you a kill when you hit level 6, just because it is one of the strongest finishing tools in the game. Very, very strong. And right here, just waiting for my W to come off cooldown. There we go. Pop my W, gonna land a Q, gonna hit my ultimate right there and pick up the kill. That was it right there when he plunges his sword downward, and it does great finishing damage. Immense damage when your enemy is low. So, picking up a nice kill there onto Wukong, my my second kill of the game. Let's go ahead and match these up. And I have a commanding lead. This right here, what you've seen so far, is exactly what Garen does, and it's exactly why you will play him, because he is an absolute lane bully. That is his definition. That is what he is good at. It is lane bullying your opponent. You can see, look at all the armor I'm stacking. I've got a Sunfire Cape, I've got Ninja Tabby, I'm going for a purely defensive build, and there's almost nothing that Wukong can do against me. He picked up he picked up a Brutalizer, but I am not phased in the least. I am not scared at all. Sure, you can go ahead and attack me. That is fine. I'm just going to do a ton of damage right back to you, because I am getting really big, and that is because Garen is a lane bully. You know, with these abilities, with his Q and his E specifically, those two together really allow you to deal almost free damage. You know, because when your opponent is silenced by your Q, I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but his Q will actually silence your enemy. So it does it, like I said, it does a number of different things. It breaks him free from slows. It gives him a movement speed boost. It does damage, and then it also will silence your target. I forgot to mention that. That is a huge part of his Q in his early game play. Is you dive in with your Q, your opponent cannot do anything. So if they have an escape ability, it does not matter, because they can't use it when they are silenced. So once you land that Q, then you go ahead and hit your E. You can spin on them. You can do a whole boatload of damage. You can see we're going to dive here onto Wukong. No big deal. Use my ulti again. Nope, just going to finish him off with some auto attacks. I think my ulti is still on cooldown. It does have a very high cooldown, by the way, but like I was saying, Garen is a very strong lane bully, and it makes him really fun to play early on. I mean, there's just a lot that you can do if you get a good start like I did. If you itemize defensively against your opponent to really minimize their damage against you, there's just not a lot that they can do against you, because Garen is such a strong lane bully. You know, and I would say in terms of builds and itemization, there's a couple different things you can do. You can build him defensively, kind of like an off-tank like I am. So in this situation, when we've got someone like Vayne and Ahri, they're two very high damage capable people. I would say that it is a good idea, especially because Ahri is getting really big, and Vayne's also getting fairly large as well, just finishing the Blade of the Rune King. It's a very good choice to build defensively and be an off-tank. Garen can serve very well as an off-tank. He has a shield. He has a gap closer, kind of with his Q. Going to finish off Kennen there with a nice Q-E ultimate combo. Now I'm going to go ahead and chase onto Misfortune. Going to go ahead and try to get another Q. Silence her. I don't care about this slow because I'm Garen. I'm going to just E right through it, pick up another kill right there. So two really nice kills there in this team fight. And now we're going to be chasing against Jax. Trundle's going to get a nice slow. I'm going to use my Q for a bit of a speed boost. Flash in, use my E. Oh, there we go. Trundle picks it up. Not actually sure how he picked up that kill. Maybe he used an Ignite. But you can see right here, you know, my early lane bullying has really allowed me to snowball and become very, very strong. You can see I am way ahead of Wukong. I have 102 CS, he has 39. I have a Sunfire Cape and a Ninja Tabby, and he has a Brutalizer and a Cloth Armor. So very, very far ahead. You know, Sunfire Cape works really well. You can also build health, I would say, is very good. Something like a Warmogs is a good choice, just because it synergizes well with his passive to really maximize that sustain. But you can also build damage. Infinity Edge works really well. Like I said, his E will critically strike. So if you can land some crits while you're spinning, you will do tremendous amount of damage. I mean, like Freak would say, tons of damage. So Infinity Edge is not a bad choice. And even building a mix. So right here I go for a Brutalizer. That's a good idea too. And another Giant's Belt. So again, more health. You know, building cooldown reduction is a good idea because Garen is not, he doesn't use mana, he doesn't use energy, he's just, he's no cost, kind of like Katarina. So cooldown reduction is pretty much his only limiting, you know, he's very spell reliant. You want to use your spells quite frequently because they're just so useful. So, you know, building cooldown reduction is a good idea. You know, as far as runes and masteries, I go for more of a defensive setup, kind of a 9-21-0 I think works really well. You know, getting cooldown reduction, and then the defensive tree. You see me charge here onto Misfortune. So I take 4 points in cooldown reduction, then 4 points in damage and armor penetration, 1 point in armor penetration. Am I going to get this kill? Am I really going to dive in? I'm going to help Vayne. Do I have a Q? There we go. There's the ultimate to finish her off. Like I said, the ultimate is a fantastic finishing tool. Oh, Jax, you want to come in here? That's fine with me. I'm going to use my E to get you really low and help Vayne pick up that kill. Taking the turret, no big deal. I'm Garen, I can do that. So again, just really showing the power of, you know, Garen is a lane bully. And if you can bully your opponent and really make their life miserable, you can get a nice lead and you can snowball the game. That is exactly what happened in this game. This game is out of control. It's 23-6. I'm 6-0-4. Trundle is 6-0-4. Ari is 4-1-2. Vayne has 7 kills. You know, we're snowballing this game out of control. All these team fights have really gone our way because, you know, Garen, he's just very strong. He does tend to fall off late game. That's probably his biggest weakness. You know, once the enemy builds some armor, you know, and he doesn't have a gap closer like a lot of the other bruisers, you know, like Wukong has a gap closer. Garen doesn't have a true gap closer in that regard. But, you know, Garen does have, you know, very strong laning. And also, too, maybe one of the reasons why he's not seen so much in competitive play is because he's not a very strong 1v2er. He really has no range capability. But, you know, he is a very strong lane opponent, and that's really his greatest strength, and you want to maximize that. You really want to make sure that you are doing what you can to ensure that your laning phase goes very strongly, and especially in normal games or solo queue, laning phase is extremely important. Winning the laning phase can really dictate the pace of the game, you know, because you're playing against randoms. These teams are not coordinated, they don't know each other. There's going to be dissension once things start to go badly. They're gonna get mad at each other. It's gonna go badly for them. So if you can really dominate them early, get them down, get them dejected, you know, there's really not a lot that can be done. You know, once you get an early lead, you're gonna probably be able to snowball that. Gonna go ahead and do some split pushing here, but use my Q to just break away and run away. That's not a problem. Garen's very good at that. Is getting away from danger. I'm just going to re-enter here on this side. We catch Wukong out a little bit. Really nice Pillar of Filth there. Going to use my E to do a lot of damage. Premature use of my R, but I'm going to just dive in here. No big deal. Going to use my Q again. There's the Q and getting a double kill there. So 8-0-4 now. Tanking this turret, not a big deal at all. Not scared of it whatsoever, even though maybe I should be taking shot after shot. But it's only getting me down to about 200 health. Not such a big deal. My team is doing more work here, and this game is pretty much out of control. So, you know, to kind of sum things up, Garen, he's a very strong lane bully. Then we go ahead and get the surrender there. 138-61, 8-0-4 to 0-5. That's the kind of thing that Garen does. He bullies his lane. And that's why you play him. That's why you would pick him up, is because he is a strong lane bully. You know, his weaknesses are that he doesn't have the range attack. He doesn't have any sort of gap closer other than his Q, which is kind of a weak gap closer. But he does have very strong laning. You can pretty much spam his abilities because there's no mana or energy involved. And you can do a lot of damage to people while still building tanky. That's definitely one of his benefits as well, especially with his ultimate, because it scales off of their missing health. His ultimate is always going to be a very strong finisher. You know, he has very high 80 ratios on his judgment and his decisive strike, his E and his Q and his E. So even just a little bit of damage with something like a brutalizer can really help you to be very effective. And even with the silence on his Q and you know, with his E, his ability to get in the mix and do AoE damage, you know, all of that just comes together to make a really solid top laner. You know, if you're wanting to get into top lane, I would say Garen is a strong choice. You know, building defensively early on to itemize against your opponent to help you win those trades is huge. And gaining every little advantage in top lane is just a very big deal. So, And then Garen is really good at capitalizing on that because he, like I said, he's such a strong lane bully. So a bit of a short one here, but I really think that this highlights Garen. You know, he is a lane bully to the nth degree, and I think this shows off why. So pretty good game, pretty fun game. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you have not yet considered Garen, if he seems a little bit noobish, I would say pick him up. He can be really fun to play. You know, just because he is such a strong lane bully, you can snowball those games out of control. But hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.